Listen, so in today's episode, we're going to talk about how to be more productive with your time. Why? Because everybody procrastinates, myself included. I was procrastinating before I got on here. I'm just being honest. Okay. But I'm here and I'm going to show you how I continuously push through these barriers and have done so successfully over the years when I've struggled with time management. And so I'm going to share with you 7 keys in this video that I think will help move the needle a tremendous amount in your life, help you to just break out of this cycle of being stuck in complacent and procrastinating and all those things that don't make us feel great at the end of the day. And so the first question, though, that we have to ask ourselves before we dive into the 7 keys is, if we believe it's going to rain, would we build the ark? If you believe it's going to rain, would you build your ark? And that reference, for those of you that may not have got that, comes from my man Noah in the Bible, right? God got upset with the world, didn't like the way things was going. And so he was like, you know what? We about to start all over. I'm going to send this thing called rain. You're going to build this thing called the ark. And built this ark because I'm sending the rain, and when I send the rain, I'm going to flood everything and we're going to start all over. That was the message. And so how is that relevant to you? Well, it's relevant to you because it is. As I mentioned, Noah had no idea what an ark was. Neither did he know what rain was. All he knew, the outcome of what God told him, was that he was flooding everything, killing everything, and he wanted him to get 2 of everything and put on this ark that he was going to build that took him the equivalent, some say, of 50 to 75 years to construct. And after the flooding was dissipated, that, the 2 of the animals, the 2 of everything, every living organism would procreate and then start all over. So just imagine how wild of a concept that is, that you get a word from God to tell you that something magnificent is going to happen, right? Or extraordinary is going to happen, because I don't know in this context that it was magnificent, but it was definitely extraordinary. And then you have the obedience to, one, build something that you've never seen before, just based off of basic instruction, because that's all God did was give him dimensions and instruction, and he and his sons had to go out and build this thing, which, by the way, was the equivalent of, some would say, close to half the size of the Titanic. So I think the Titanic was almost 900 feet and Noah's Ark was supposed to be somewhere around 450 feet, right? 50 feet tall. I mean, humongous shit, right? Especially the first of its kind. And then back then, and it's funny because my wife and I went to Greece and we learned about this, where the vegetation was actually watered from the ground, right? So the moisture will come up from the ground in order to water the vegetation, because back in those times they didn't have rain. And so God's telling Noah that he was going to send rain and flood the place out. And up to this point, they don't know of any other way for condensation to enter other than through the ground. But yet, instead of him sitting around trying to question every detail, he got busy building that ark because he wanted to be around when everything else was gone. So the first principle that we have to understand if we want to be more productive with our time is that big pictures start on blank canvases. See, God gave Noah the big picture, but he started with a blank canvas. And so us be no different. Right? We get visions, we get downloads, we get dreams, we got vision boards, we got all these things, these aspirations of stuff that we want to accomplish. But we got to understand that these big visions start on blank canvases. So in order to paint the picture, then you have to do some form of activity. The picture don't paint itself. Hey, real quick, if you are a coach, consultant, business owner, aspiring business owner, you want to start making more money online. Maybe you stuck at that 5, 10, 20K a month ceiling. Maybe some of you are still in ideation mode. You're just like, I got to get out of this job. I know I got something in me I need to give birth to, but you can't quite figure out how to either scale it or start it. Make sure you come to our Purpose to Profits Challenge. My partner David and I are going to be showing you how to successfully grow your business online, helping you with content creation, helping you with marketing strategies, helping you with sales, fulfillment, the whole 9. Showing you our exact systems on how we went from not making 6 figures a year, not multiple 6 figures a year, but 6 figures a month, and even sometimes 6 figures in a day. If that sounds like you, make sure you click the link in the description, sign up for the challenge. General admission is only $17. All right, $47 for the VIP. If you want to spend 1 hour exclusively with David and I each day and ask all of your questions specifically, make sure you get the VIP ticket. We will see you there and Get back to the episode. So when you find yourself in these moments of feeling as if you stuck, feeling as if you're procrastinating, you have to remind yourself of what the big picture is. You have to remind yourself of what the vision is. See, I once heard Will Smith say it like this. He said that he and his brother used to help his dad. His dad was a masonry, right? So during the summertime, they would help him build walls, literally build walls. And he said one thing that he learned about building walls is that the only way to build a wall is to lay a great brick. You know what I'm saying? The only way to build a wall is to lay a great brick. So for most people, we get so fixated on the wall that we forget that our job is to lay the brick. Because if I don't lay a brick, and not only just lay a brick, but I gotta focus enough to lay the most perfect brick possible, so that if I do this consistently over time, I will eventually get the outcome of the wall. But if I got a row of 3 bricks stacked up at this point, and I'm focused looking down there, I'm gonna knock over what I'm building. So we have to focus on what's in front of us, because eventually if you lay that brick, you do that next task, you prospect that next client, you post that next piece of content, you cold call that next person, whatever that next task is will help you to get to the ultimate goal. So big pictures start on blank canvases. That's number 1. Number 2 is this: you have to plan for what you prayed for. Plan for what you prayed for. So it's interesting how some people pray every day for more money. I think most of us at some point in time, that's been a prayer. Okay. Or for those of y'all that may not be faith-based, it's been something that you wish or hope or feel like hopefully you get lucky that will happen for you. And the way that God operates is he always gives the ability before the assignment. He gives the ability before the assignment, right? So even going back to the example that I started with Noah, he gave Noah the ability before he gave him the assignment. And then he gave him the resources to go out and execute. He gave him sons and people that could help him before he gave him the assignment to actually go and build the ark. Noah was like 500-600 years old by the time he was given this instruction, right? So he had accumulated all kind of resources along the way, and then God gave him the rest of what he needed. It's no different than God created the heavens and earth and everything in it. Well, he created the creation before he created the creatures. You copy? So he created the garden, then he put man in the garden. So God gives the ability before the assignment. He gives the capacity before he gives the content, which is why he gave the capacity of creating a garden. Then he gave the content of putting the man in it. So that's just the way he operates. So for those of us that's out there praying for stuff, do your plans look like what you prayed for? You're asking God for more money, but how are you managing what he's already given you? You're asking God to blow your business up, but what systems and processes and procedures are you putting in place now that are going to be able to help you to manage, maintain, and multiply what he gives you when he finally gives it to you? Do your plans line up with your prayers? And for most of us, the answer is no, because we don't have that faith like Noah to start building the ark when we never even heard of what rain is. He just trusted that God was going to keep his word, because God is not a man that can lie. And so he took him up on his word. He wasn't about to be sitting around waiting to see what the final outcome was. But let's be honest, how many times do we sit around? And that's exactly what we do, though. I think of something as simple as, at the end of the year, going into the start of the 2025, those BOI forms, I don't even know what it stands for. I just know my CPA office called and was like, hey, you need to get these BOIs filled out for all your companies. It's a $500. It could be up to $500 a day per day penalty. And they were due by depending on when your companies were filed, they were due by January 13th or something. Now, I'm going to tell y'all, if there's anything that I despise about business is paperwork. There's 4 personality types: shark, whale, dolphin, sea urchin. And sea urchins are very analytical and data driven. I'll teach y'all that another day. Okay. But the point is, out of the 4 personality types, I am the least a sea urchin, right? So what does that mean? That means that I have the tendency at times to put off doing things like paperwork because it's the thing that I desire the least to do. But I'm also no fool either. Okay. I heard $500 a day penalty, and I'm like, okay, I got to get this done. What's my point? My point is, sometimes we hear that there's going to be a $500 a day penalty, and then we think, not for us. Now, we may not say that out loud, but based off of our behavior and subconsciously, we really think yeah, that's for them. That ain't for us. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But if you make a habit of doing that, your life will start looking like that, because your fruit is indicative of the root. If the root of how you behave is consistent with that, type of behavior, then your life and your business is going to start to show that you never believe that it will happen to you. But guess what? Guess what keeps happening to you? Everybody keeps passing you by. Life keeps passing you by. Accomplishment keep passing you by. Your dreams don't manifest themselves. So we actually have to plan for what we pray for. We actually have to believe that one day is coming and we prepare ourselves for the thing that we have prayed for. All right. So that's number 2. Number 3, we have to wait like a waiter. Now I know, especially for my prayed up people out there. Oh, we love to say, oh, I'm just waiting on God. All right. I don't want to get out ahead of God, which is kind of crazy considering he's the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. But we say we don't want to get out ahead of him. Does that not make sense to anybody else but me? Like, how we going to get out ahead of him when he is the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end? He operate outside of time and we think we going to get out ahead of him. Well, let me just tell y'all something. How about he also says that he'll order our steps? Well, that would be indicative of the fact that we in motion. Yes or yes? So we can't get out ahead of him. That's another excuse to lean on prayer, to use prayer as a prop, and I'm waiting on God. No, we have to trust that even in our missteps, that Romans 8:28, all things are working together for the good of those that love the Lord, been called according to his purpose, 1. But then also that his spirit that resides in us is there to do what? Correct us, to convict us, to comfort us, to teach us. So if we're staying in alignment with God, and even in our missteps, he's going to redirect us because that's what he said, not what I said. So we have to wait like a waiter. Well, what is a waiter doing while he's waiting? He or she is waiting on you to finish your meal. They moving, they attentive, they coming back, they making sure you having a phenomenal time and experience. They checking in to see what else could you get from them to make your experience even better than what it currently is. A waiter ain't just standing there staring at you the whole time you stuffing your face. So we have to wait like a waiter. We have to wait like a waiter. We got to be in motion. Some of y'all out there right now like, man, I'm tired of this single life. I'm waiting on the spouse. Okay, so what you doing? Oh, I'm looking for people on the internet. No. What are you doing to prepare you to be spouse material? What trauma and baggage and issues are you working on to make yourself your best version of yourself so that when you get with somebody else, you don't make a mess of yourself? Wait like a waiter. Be doing something while you're waiting. Be doing the highest and best thing that you could possibly be doing while you're waiting on the thing that you desire most. So number 3 was wait like a waiter. Number 4, understand that management leads to promotion. Management leads to promotion. And I kind of touched on this a little bit. It's one of those things where we always thinking about promotion. But let's just go back to the job setting context for just a second. I know some of y'all super entrepreneur, but most of us started out at least having a job at some point in time, right? And when you think about it, when you come in off the street, they don't immediately give you a promotion, do they? So the employer would pay us based on our ability to manage well in the current capacity and position that we're in to then promote us to the next one, right? They just don't promote you haphazardly or because you have a want and desire for more. They promote you after you have effectively managed your current role and you have gotten so good at it that the only logical thing to do is to give you more responsibility, more money, and more capacity to help them to then also grow more, right? That's how that works. And for whatever reason, when we at work, we accept that to be the status quo, if you will, right? But then when we get out here on our own as entrepreneurs, we lose complete sight of that, right? Everything we want it now. We want all of it. We don't want to wait. And at the end of the day, God just like, I'm a good parent. I'm a good parent. I'm not going to give you the keys to the Rolls Royce when you ain't took good care of the Toyota. That'd be poor parenting on my part. I'm not teaching you any discipline. I'm not teaching you any stewardship. I'm not teaching you any gratitude. So the question I have to ask you, and I want you to ask yourself is, how are you managing your current position? How are you managing your current assignment? How are you managing your current thoughts and expectations? And what kind of conversation do you have with yourself day in and day out? Because here's the thing. If you're dealing with depression and anxiety at a high level and worry at a high level, at the level you're at, guess what happens? It only becomes more at the next level. We have to start managing the current state and the current position that we're in better so that we can prepare ourselves for the promotion. We always think that when we get there, that everything else gets better. But when we get there, everything else just magnifies. I promise you, at every level, I fooled myself into thinking this to only find out. It just magnifies. So you got to fix and manage your current situation the absolute best that you can to prepare yourself for the promotion. Number 5, you got to make room. You got to make room. You have to act like you believe you're going where you said you are. I once heard a story about a guy who was praying to God. He was expecting a new vehicle. He had a rust bucket. That thing drip oil in the driveway every single day, full of McDonald's bags. And y'all know the picture as I'm explaining it. And he had been waiting for months for months, thinking a guy was going to do something special, get him a car. And his mother had a conversation with him about stewardship and was like, do you think the way that you treat that car currently is an indication of God that you appreciate what you currently have, that then it should incentivize him to make him want to give you a new one? If this how you take care of your current? And so after that revelation, he goes, he takes the car, he works on the oil leak, cleans it out, he starts washing it. He's taking care of it. Some weeks go by, probably 2 months into it, all of a sudden, new car came. What changed? What changed was the fact that he started taking care of what he had in front of him so that somebody would see value enough in it to want to buy it from him, that then put him in position to get the new one. So when I say make room, the way that we prepare and we manage and maintain what we have in front of us is how we start to make room for the thing that we desire to have in front of us. The way that we steward and maintain over what we have in front of us gives us the ability to then make room for the thing that we desire more to have in front of us. And so that's exactly what happened. Somebody was driving down the street. They saw the car sitting in the driveway. They were looking for a startup, car for one of their children, asked him would he be willing to sell it. He told them, yep, sold the thing, got his new car. But it wasn't until he cleaned it up, cleaned up the oil, and started to act as if he believed that what he was desiring was actually coming. Because here's the thing, we're supposed to walk by faith, not by sight. Faith is a verb. We're supposed to actually take action from the things that we say we believe in. I can't tell y'all, and I know this is sensitive for some, but I can't tell you how many stories and testimonies I've seen of those who have struggled to have children who say that as soon as they went and bought the bigger house with the extra baby room and got out of the 1-bedroom apartment, as soon as they started buying the baby clothes, that they were told they couldn't even have a child. As soon as they started making room, at some point in that time, God blessed them. So are you making room? Are you already taking the time to create time in your schedule and your calendar to work on the thing that you said that you want to do? Lord, I want to buy me a house. Okay, cool. But have you even started working on that 580 credit score yet? Or do you just think that one day, like, loan requirements are going to be so gravy that you never gonna have to work on your credit? This is what we do every day, y'all. Am I right? We don't take the time to work on the thing that we got in front of us. You know that you planning on buying a house, and you also know that you already negative on your bills if you put them on a spreadsheet based on these credit cards that you're carrying over a balance on, and outside of making a minimum payment, you really can't put no more on them. So what about, I know I want to buy the house, so I'm gonna make room. I'm gonna pay down these credit cards so it could free up hundreds, if not a couple $1,000s a month. Now I got the money and the margin that I need to go get the house. Watch this. I hope y'all been hanging on for this one. By the way, if this is good for you, please like, subscribe, share this with somebody. If you're listening to audio, share this with a friend. Because number 6, this the one. Ecclesiastes 11:6 says, sow your seed in the morning and get busy by afternoon, for you do not know from which effort you're going to profit, if not both. What's this mean? Oh my God, this is my favorite scripture. This is the scripture that helped me to get rid of procrastination. It's a constant reminder of this thing, and this thing very specifically. When you get up in the morning, you put your seed in the ground. Okay, this is a farmer's analogy, but this is a reality for us. When you get up in the morning, you put your seed in the ground. So maybe you're sending off emails. Maybe you are going out prospecting for your business. Maybe you're creating content for your business. Maybe you're sending out text messages, phone calls, whatever. That activity, when you execute that activity, it turns into productivity, and you have no idea what profit may come from that productivity. But here's the key, and this is where everybody goes wrong. After you do that, you then have to go and be more productive throughout the day. So when the scripture says, plant your seed in the morning, get busy by afternoon, for you do not know from which effort you will profit, if not both. See, the problem that we have is that most of us would paint the room and then just sit in the room and watch the paint dry, instead of moving on to another area of the house and painting another room and painting another room. So if you're sitting in the room that you just painted, you're wasting hours just watching the paint dry when the paint gonna dry anyway. So you need to go do something else to be more productive, so that at the end of the day, you could have the whole house painted instead of 2 rooms because you sat there and stared at one for too long. And I promise you, if everybody can look at this area of their life, this is where we go wrong. We get so fixated on the thing that we desire most that we forget about all the other things that we got to do. I'm guilty of it myself. Like right before I shot this video and I thought I had all this time, I remembered that it's a few things that I got to do within the business that I should have did last week. And so this is why we have to always be looking for more opportunity to do more things that can move the needle, and not just get fixated on the things that we think move the needle most. And so that brings me to number 7. Number 7. If y'all hung around to this part in the video, y'all some troopers. You are really serious about being more productive with your time. And I promise you, if you implement these 7 principles, you will be. You will be. Here's number 7. Pray and pursue. Pray and pursue every day. For those of us that are believers, this is the Believers in Business podcast, right? We have to understand that we didn't create ourselves. So yes, I plan, I got tasks, I got vision, I got goals, I got all those things. But at the very same time, I got God too. And every morning, I'm always saying, Lord, I submit my plans to you and I surrender my life to you. Use me as you see fit. So what that means is, that means that although I'm convicted and convinced of those things that I believe I need to do, I'm also letting God know that I'm open and available. I'm open-handed, that if my day needs to take a pivot because you need me to serve somebody that I didn't have in my purview, doesn't mean that I'm not doing it because it wasn't on my schedule. It means that I'm going to do my very best in what I think I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm also open to what you know I'm supposed to be doing. So that's the prayer piece. But then we have to pursue it like nobody's business. When my feet hit the ground in the morning, it's on. It's on. And it's on until I'm off. And I'm off when it's done. And when you get to that level of relentless pursuit, everything will change in your life. Everything will change. We have to pray and pursue, not use prayer as a prop. Oh, I'm just waiting to hear from. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be listening for God. That's not what I'm saying. So let me be clear. But y'all know how y'all conveniently use prayer as a prop. You got to go do some work. Faith without works is dead. A man who don't work don't eat. All hard work brings a profit. Mere talk leads to poverty. Got to go do some work. So a recap of the 7. Big picture start on blank canvases. We got to plan for what we prayed for. We got to wait like a waiter. Understand that management leads to promotion. We got to make room. We have to pursue Ecclesiastes 11:6. So you'll see it in the morning, get busy by afternoon, for you do not know from which effort you will profit, if not both. And we got to pray and pursue. And if you do these 7 things, I promise you, your time will be more effective. Your life will be more productive. And for those of you that's out here making money, you will be more profitable. Ask me how I know. God bless y'all. I'll see you in the next one.